evening and welcome to another exciting episode of Technique Talk, brought to you here on the Technique Lab YouTube channel, where we are looking at the World Athletics Championships being staged over there in Budapest, Hungary. And we're 8 of 9 days of competition so far, and it has been a wonderful time. It has been a great time for track and field, regardless of which country you're representing or you're interested in seeing perform. It has been a great championships. So we've gone 8 days of 9, and there's been a lot of drama and excitement and rivalries and parading of the superheroes of athletics. And indeed, we Jamaicans have been part of that parade of superheroes of athletics, and we have been playing our part in making this a spectacle, a wonderful, wonderful experience so far. And indeed, today we had some good performances, and we want to look at some of those and get your comments and feedback on some of the things that took place. So we started off the day with Danielle Thomas Dodd in the shot put women. She qualified from the prelims held in the morning session, and then they came back in the afternoon session for the finals of the shot put, and she finished 5th with a throw of 19.59 meters. So 19.59 meters was her best. And you know, when you look at it, this is actually her third best performance so far this season. I mean, her furthest would have been the 19.77 she threw early in May of this year, and then later on in June she threw 19.66 meters, and then of course this would be her third longest best throw in a competition, 19.59. She had a decent series, 19.38, 19.33, then 19.59 her third throw, and then she followed the fourth one, 18.61, and then 18.98. So fell apart there, but good effort by Danielle in representing us in another field event. Remember, we've been talking about Jamaica becoming a technical powerhouse. Danielle has helped to present that to the world, and indeed she has done very well for us. So congratulations, Danielle. Bronze medalist from Doha, 5th place here, and you know, good performance. Definitely we want to celebrate with her. But today was a relay carnival, wasn't it? Relays, lots of relays, and how we love relays. We love relays. We love the batons. We love the energy that comes with relays. And you know, today we had the 4x1s and the 4x4s, and it was just a load of fun. And of course, we love to see our teams going out there, and relays bringing everybody together, the team component to the track and field, which is an individual sport predominantly, and then of course relays bring us together. So whether it's reach, stick, I've heard so many different things when people are passing batons. Whatever it is that you say or your team says, we all want speed, and it's about who can take the baton the fastest from the start line to the finish line. The most important thing in the relay is the baton, the speed of the baton. And indeed, once we understand that, then it will help us to make the right choices in terms of the passes and preparing for those, and indeed making sure that the baton does not lose any speed in going around the track. And that's the whole aim. And of course, when you're exchanging at high speed, lots of things can go wrong, but most relays end with a baton being passed, and relays that end without the batons being passed, right? So we don't have to fear the batons, but just in case you live under a rock and you were not aware of what's really happened today, well, let me tell you what happened. Of the 3 million Jamaicans that exist on the planet, 2,999,999 are mad with what happened today. No, I'm just joking. That's just a joke. But indeed, the relays were about Jamaica versus the USA. That's really what the relays were about. They were about Jamaica and the USA. And when you think of it, 3 million people versus 330 million people. I mean, this is just amazing. The rivalry that exists in the sprints between Jamaica and the US. It's been going on for, well, you know, it's been heightened in recent times. But indeed, it was a great show of the sprinting prowess of these two nations. You want to call them powerhouses in track and field. And you know, as I sat there and I watched it, I said, you know, these are the same. When I say to our Caribbean neighbors, you know, when you see Jamaica parading and racing and dominating at Carifta, it is the same Jamaica that races the world at Worlds. So, in fact, within the Caribbean region, the best of the best is being raced against the other countries in the Caribbean. And so, persons should not necessarily be I should say, too concerned, but to realize that it's the same Jamaica that you have to race against at Carifta is the same Jamaica the rest of the world has to race against when the world gathers. And so it's really just amazing the level of expertise and skill and talent that's demonstrated by Team Jamaica. And you know, it's been a great show so far. So what we were able to see today from the relays that were on, we saw the 4x1 men, Jamaica with finishing third there. Of course, the 4x1 men was won by Team USA in a world lead time, 37.38 seconds. Then, of course, in second place was Italy, 37.62, and that's a season's best for them. And then in third place was Jamaica. Slow, I mean, they're on 37.76 seconds, slower than they did in the prelims. They're on 37.68 seconds in the prelims. But I must tell you that 37.76 that they ran in the finals would have been third in Eugene that same time. They would have beaten Great Britain. That time would have also been sixth in Doha. Remember, we weren't in the finals in Doha. Couldn't make it. Then that same time would have been third in London. London in 2017, of course, Jamaica didn't finish the relay. Bolt pulled up on the anchor leg. And that same time would have been second in Beijing, which is back in 2015. Remember, Jamaica won in 2015. So Jamaica would have finished second. This team of Akeem Blake, Seville, Ryan Ford, and Watson would have finished second behind that team with Bolt et al. So, it's actually been 8 years since Jamaica has been on the podium for a 4x1 on the men's side at Worlds since 2015. It was the last time we were on the podium. So, good job, guys. Good job in getting that bronze medal. That medal that we have not seen in a very, 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 very long time. 8 years since we've been on the podium. Good job, guys. Good job. We love that bronze medal, and we're really appreciative of that. Then, of course, the women were up. The 4x1 women team of Natasha Morrison, Shelly Fraser Price, to Shasha Lee Forbes, and on anchor Sharika Jackson, the gold medalist from the 200 meters. That relay team, of course, Team USA won that one, and Team USA came through in 41.03, which is a championship record. Then Jamaica was second, 41.21, which is the season's best, and Great Britain was third in 41.97 seconds. So that was particularly interesting, and of course there's been a lot of reactions to this one. Lots of reactions, lots of people saying things, and persons are just not very happy with how the team performed, almost as if there's been
Let me start with
so many
team.
questions and
I
discussions
think they did
about
exceptionally
the
well
setup
to
of this
pull off
team
that
and
bronze
athletes who were
medal. It
used and
was
so on, and
excellent in the
the
end,
discussions will go
putting
on for a
everything
very
into
long time.
context, knowing that this is
But
an
let me
exceptionally
just
young team.
share
This
with you
team will
just
blossom
some
in
reactions
years
from
to
other
come, in the
persons.
near future as well,
See
may
how
even be next
what
year.
persons
So
thought about
I think
that
that it
particular
was a
performance
well
of
worked
both men and women
race,
relay
and I
team
think
this year.
they did their very best to pull off the bronze. As for the women, I'm slightly disappointed. I personally would not have taken Elaine out of the starting four. I would have juggled the starting lineup as well. Um, I mean, we don't normally see Shelly starting a relay, but for me, I would have had Shelly starting, to Elaine, to Natasha, to Sherika Jackson. That would have been my lineup. Um, I mean, Elaine may not have been on a lot of spectacular form this year, but she has the know-how. She is basically a veteran, and I think what she did in the first race was enough to cement her place in the finals.
Already gone, but
Well,
TT
subsequent
did a
to
good
that,
job of
we've
holding her own
learned that,
against
of
Shelly Ann
course,
Fraser Price. The
Shelly
United
Ann
States was very
has
much
sought some medical attention because of what transpired there. So Shelly actually has sought some medical attention, and lots of persons have been reacting to the news about Shelly and to the relay team itself. And so, drop your comments in the chat. Let's hear what you think about that setup. Some persons are saying that Elaine Thompson should have been included in that 4x1 finals. What do you think? Somebody says, no way you can start Shelly with her no knee problem. Okay, so we are suggesting, or that person suggesting, that the staff on the ground knew exactly that Shelly had a bad knee and could not finish that. Well, maybe. I don't know. I mean, coaches on the ground are, in fact, they have a lot of information. Somebody else is saying, should the word win be used in the receiving of a silver medal or a bronze medal? Yeah. The winners are, and they say the person who wins the gold medal, the person who wins the silver medal, the person who wins the bronze medal. I think that's fair. I mean, yeah. You might not win the gold, but you won the silver. Then you didn't win the gold or the silver, you won the bronze. I would say, I wouldn't argue that one too much. So, what do you think? So many persons are talking about whether Elaine should be included or not. And persons are actually using those splits that we saw. And, I don't really like those splits. Those splits don't tell us much. And I don't believe them anyway. But we look at some of those. So some persons are not too happy with how that team went and how the persons performed. But hear what? It's Jamaica. And we came away 2 relays, 2 medals. And in fact, one would say that on the women's side, the only team that should really or could beat Jamaica was Team USA. And we know Team USA has a lot of options and they're not afraid of pulling people from all over. We tend to be, kind of very protective, I would say, of certain persons, but Team USA has been very fluid in terms of their relay pools. We've seen where they've brought in Alison Felix from out of nowhere to run, and they continue. I mean, they brought in Gabby Thomas in this particular relay team. It's always going to be difficult to beat this team, and in fact, if we lose only to Team USA, I don't think it's much of a problem, because that's a team that should beat us if we're beaten with the kind of depth that we have. But of course, I think there are some times when we do have enough speed to beat them, and when those opportunities arise, we certainly want to maximize and take home the gold medal and beat them if we can. So I mean, I hear all the comments, and I still think that we performed well and we can continue moving forward. The worst was not that we finished second. The worst is actually did finish really and get a medal. I think second place in this case is not as bad a result as some persons might make it seem. Yeah, hindsight is 2020, but hey, let's come home with a medal. So that one, hopefully we can learn some lessons from there and make it better next time. Somebody says, in a perfect world, I'd love to have seen Natasha to Sharika to Elaine to Shelley. Why is that a perfect world? Would that get us a world record? That's an interesting comment there. Based on what took place, will Mr. Tracy, they ran who qualified from trials. Okay, well, somebody's saying that based on the stance that the team lead took with respect to Tracy, this would be Taekwondo Tracy, then the team that they used for the women's relay would have been consistent with that particular position. Well, that's a good observation. But in fact, that was how the relays went, and Jamaica added 2 medals to its tally after those 2 races. And in fact, we are happy to have made the podium twice back to back for those relays, and that was something that we were looking forward to, and we did it. So we give thanks for that. Then of course the other relays would have been the 4x4 qualifying. That of course we had quite a bit of entertainment there. The 4x4 men ran a season's best of 2 minutes 59.82 seconds. That team of Rasheen McDonald on leadoff, Javon Powell, Zandrian Barnes, and DeAndre Anderson on the anchor. That team, yeah, I'm sure you have changes. Yeah, I would think there are changes to that team. But that was an interesting lineup, I must say. Rasheen McDonald gave a strong leadoff. I didn't like how Javon Powell. Didn't like how Javon Powell executed that second leg. Could be a little bit more aggressive. The second leg needs to put in some more work. Take the pace out and establish yourself. Zandrian Barnes did what he could, held it on. DeAndre Anderson, his first senior outing, great leg, but I think that more than likely he will be one of the substitutes, or he will be substituted in the finals. I think we have 2 changes coming in. The 2 guys who were in the finals of the 400 meter flat should be brought in, including the world champion Antonio Watson. Antonio Watson, I can't believe I just said the world champion. He is the world champion, so we can bring in the world 400-meter champion in our relay. I think those two guys can give us at least 2 seconds faster than this particular team. So we are at worst 2:57. 2:57 going into that finals. That's at worst, this relay team. And throw your comments in terms of what your relay order would be for those 4 guys. So I say we take out, I think we probably could take out Powell, or maybe, Barnes or Powell would come out. But DeAndre Anderson certainly could come out, and you keep McDonald there and race everyone to the line. So that should be an interesting outing for us, and we certainly can race the last race. We can race for that gold medal and end the championships on a high, and I think the coaches have that in their mind as well. So the women 4x4 had its drama, had its excitement, and of course Team Jamaica, the team of Cherokee Young, Nikisha Price, Shan Salmon, and Stacey Ann Williams recorded a world lead of 3:27.74. So 3:27.74 was a time that they posted, and boy oh boy, that was indeed a run. And of course we are happy that they performed the way that they did and posted that world lead. Of course, the news is that Team USA and Nigeria were disqualified. Yep. This is what it looked like. Team USA not exchanging the baton inside the zone. The zone for 4x4 is 10 meters. 10 meters beyond the finish line, 10 meters so after the finish line. So the finish line is, the zone ends right at that blue line. So that's the zone there. So of course Team USA failed to exchange a baton inside the zone, and they were disqualified. And that has actually opened the door for Jamaica to do something special, something extremely special in this, coming up in this finals of the 4x4. This should be an interesting outing for us. No USA. Of course, they have appealed this decision, and that is going to be, well, I haven't heard of anything following their appeal. Don't think anything is going to come out of it, because it's pretty clear. And so what the rules say, just look at what the rules say about this. Hopefully you can read that. The rule 24.3 tells you that the exchange zone should be 20 meters. Yep. So unlike the 4x1, the exchange zone is, in the 4x1 will be 30 meters. In the 4x4 it is 20 meters. So that is interesting for you to note. But the baton must be passed inside the zone. Right? So it doesn't matter. It says the baton shall be passed within the takeover zone. The passing of the baton commences when it first touches or touched by the receiving athlete, and is completed the moment it is in the hand of only the receiving athlete. Right? In relation to the takeover zone, it is only the position of the baton which is decisive. Passing of the baton outside of the takeover zone shall result in disqualification. So it talks about how the umpires should really view this. And in fact, if the baton is outside the zone, it says umpires must be diligent to ensure that they observe any contact with the baton prior to the baton entering the exchange zone. And of course, it goes on to talk about if the baton is, the exchange is not completed before the person leaves the zone. So that is what Team USA was disqualified for, and that is quite unfortunate. It's not regular you see teams running out of the zone for 4x4, but it is what it is. And of course, they just have to live with that one. We have to live with it too. And it's an opportunity for us to go out there and throw it down and win that gold medal for Jamaica. Yes, qualifying with the fastest time. And in fact, we have two changes. I think we have two changes. Genevieve Russell and Candice McLeod. So those two persons can be brought in. I'm sure you think other persons can be brought in as well. You can throw that in the chat and let's interact. So somebody is saying in terms of the 4x4 men, Barnes to Rasheen to Clark. I guess this must be Rashawn Clark to Watson. And this must be Antonio Watson. So that's a lineup there. And somebody's saying, I believe Bailey is out due to a hamstring injury. Really? That's unfortunate if that is indeed the case. So McDonald to Barnes to Powell to Watson. Interesting, that information there. Hopefully we can really find, well, even if we add just Watson is at least a second better than DeAndre Anderson. So that team could run 258. 258 might be difficult to win this particular 4x4. You have to run 257 or faster. The Team USA have a lots of changes they could make, and it's going to take a huge race. And the 4x4 is a race. It's a race. You just hold the baton and you go. That is how it has to be done. Race them, bring it on. So, of course, a lot of the things that are happening there, we're looking forward to some good action. Tomorrow, the last day coming up, all kinds of things going on. But, before we do that, I don't know if you've been paying attention to the race analysis that they've been publishing. And I tell you that I'm not really a fan of these results that they're posting and these splits. But there's a situation, in the heats of the women's 4x1, the fastest split came from, let's see if I can show you this one. Women 4x1 splits. This one is, I find it very interesting. And I have to show you why I'm not really a fan of these splits. So the race analysis there for the 4x1 women, round 1. Right, so in round 1, of course, Jamaica, the fastest split there was Shelly Fraser Price on the ankle leg, 9.88 seconds. And of course, Elaine Thompson on the backstretch, 9.90 seconds. But those weren't the fastest split in that race. They weren't. The fastest split came from third leg on the Trinidad team. Third leg, 9.66 seconds. 9.66 seconds. Jump over. 9.66 seconds. So I had to look up this particular person because I can't believe that you could run the fastest split could come on um, the third leg of the 4x1. That's why I tell you I don't believe these splits. Don't know why the site is not doing what it's supposed to do. So the 4x1 women, this would have been day 7. Women 4x1 heats. Kid you not. So we look at this particular heat. Trinidad and Tobago, third leg, is Thomas. So I just followed her. Look at Thomas's performance. Her personal best, 11.22 seconds. She ran and have 11.16 seconds wind aided, a plus 3.8. So now you know why I don't believe these splits. I don't believe these splits. I think they're rubbish, and they should stop publishing these things because it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Not at all. We're not accepting those splits. They need to fix that technology before they start making that thing public. So I noticed that they've actually taken down the race analysis for the 4x4 men. That happened later this afternoon. Somebody just took it back down. I don't know if they put it back up, but it wasn't there right before the show when we were checking that. So those are certainly some interesting stats, but they need to really fix those things and not publish things that aren't really true. Of course, on the points table, we've been watching the points table because that's a very important thing for us. So we're watching the points table, and now USA is out in the lead, 255 points after 8 days of competition. And we, Jamaica, are second with 122 points. Kenya is closing in on us. Of course, Kenya has a marathon coming up. That's going to be a huge scoring opportunity for them. We just have to keep our eyes on this one. Ethiopia's moved into 4th. Great Britain and Northern Ireland is there tied with Ethiopia on 4th. And Canada, who is actually, interestingly, on the medal table, the Canadians are doing very well. They're second on the medal table with 4 golds, 2 silver, 6 medals. Of course, Team USA is in the lead. And Jamaica has the second most number of medals, 11, but we need another gold medal to pass the Canadians and the Spanish, who've been doing exceptionally well in the walk races. So that should be interesting for us tomorrow as we try to improve our performance and move up the table and, in fact, get to where we need to get to. So tomorrow should be an interesting day for us. Some action again on the track. We're looking forward to the 4x4s and the 800 meter women's final is also on tomorrow. That one we certainly have an interest in, and yeah, so let me see here. We have an interest in the 800 meters. The high jump women, we also have Distin in that as well, Lamara Distin, and she's the 4th jumper in that pool. And of course the women 800 meters with Adele Tracy, she runs out of lane 2. And of course the 4x4 men and women, well, interestingly, we're ending with the 4x4 women. Woo-hoo. That one should be interesting. We're ending with the 4x4 women tomorrow. Sounds like a golden opportunity for us to close the show. The World Athletics Championships 2023. They'll end with hearing the national anthem of Jamaica. How does that sound? That should be an interesting outing for us. So, of course, we're happy to bring you all the great things that have been happening over there in Budapest, Hungary, and we're looking forward to a wonderful day just like you have been looking forward to. Just before we close, there is just give you some information about the Paris Olympics qualifying that actually is of interest to us here, because the qualification period for Paris is from July 1st, 2023 to the 30th of June 2024 for the individual events. So persons can actually qualify for Paris based on their performances at these World Championships. That's for the individual events. However, for the relays, which we've been talking about just now, the relays are a little different. The relays are the top 14 teams from the World Athletics Relay 2024. So from World Relays, the top 14 will qualify automatically for Paris. Top 14. How many relay teams make it to the Olympics? 16. So that leaves two spaces for teams to qualify using world rankings. That is almost crazy, but that's what it is. Everybody has to go to the World Relays in order to qualify for Paris 2024. So that should be quite interesting, and they are moving. In fact, Paris will see individual events. Half of the qualifiers for Paris will be based on world rankings, and half will be based on the qualifying standards. And I don't think people understand that yet. Only half of the qualifiers will be from the qualifying standards, and the other half will be from world rankings. World Athletics is moving further and further to using world rankings for the only method of qualifying for the major championships. So that is going to be very interesting. We look forward to all of those things, and we'll bring you updates on those things as they happen. So it's been great having you, and we're looking forward to some more action tomorrow, and looking forward to interacting with you as well. So be sure to like our channel, subscribe to our channel, and click that notification bell, and indeed tell somebody about it, share it, and see you another time on our Technique Talk as we talk the things that no one else wants to talk about. Good evening.